Derby All-Stars up against Montreal Les Sexpos. Our officials are going to be Chemical Restraint, Danger Muffin, Buzz Lightyear, Empower, Peter Collis, Rec Support, Cheshire Stats, Category, Phantasmic, Viva la Evolution, Mimi First, Jams Joyce, Kyle Crocodile, Toxic Narcotic, Trogador the Jaminator, Bang Test, and Hannah Ballistic. To start the action today for the Sexpos, jamming is going to be Folindra, jamming for the Montreal Sexpos. And coming up, we're going to see jamming for the Minnesota All-Stars, Lexi Cutter. All right, so in white is Folindra. She is pushing to the front of the pack. She is getting held up and is able to get their way around. Whoopsie's trying to slow her down, but is unable to do so. So we have our lead jammer, but while she was slowed down, Lexi Cutter was able to get out of that pack, and here comes Lexi Cutter, cutting through that track, putting the pressure on Folindra. Folindra gets around, calls it, sees if they can pick up 2 quick points. All right, that's actually going to go to Minnesota because Lexi was able to dart in there quickly, pick up 2 points. It's 2-0 in favor of the Lake Minnetonka All-Stars, Minnesota. All right, refs having a little fun in the center there, trying to keep their balance. All right, Childish Gambino is going to be going up for Minnesota. And 5, 6, 7, 8, Gruesome Gracie. She's been jamming like crazy all weekend. She's jamming again. There goes Childish Gambino for lead jammer status. Gracie out. Gracie getting around turn 3 into turn 4. Childish Gambino to the outside, picking up a couple of points, knows that they had Gracie hot on her heels, and cuts it. All right, we made some adjustments to our audio. Thank you very much, Pooh. And we're back to jamming. Jamming for Montreal Sexpos is the Nameless Horror. And then jamming for Minnesota and taking the lead jammer status is Anaconda. She don't want none unless it's lead jammer, son. Here comes Anaconda engaging with the pack. Nameless Horror had to go to the box. So as Anaconda forces her way through the pack, she picks up her 4 points. The pack is starting to speed up just slightly. And here comes Anaconda to score more points. Nameless is up, and Nameless is out. Nameless out of the penalty box and approaching the tri-wall from Minnesota. Minnesota able to maintain the lead, 11 points to the 3 of Montreal. Wasn't that 3 from Montreal? I saw 3 from the... No, well, okay. No, I guess it's 11-0. They're saying that Anaconda didn't able to get any points. Okay. Well, pardon me, Nameless Horror didn't able to get any points. That's what I meant for Montreal. So it's 11-0 in favor of Minnesota. Sorry about that. I got confused for a second. 11-0 in favor of Minnesota. Picking up those 3 points. All right, so we're up to our next jam here. Right now, we got Lefts for Dead under Minnesota. We got Lawrence going for Sexpos. Lawrence on the inside to the outside, then stuck in the center. Meanwhile, Lefts for Dead is pushing. Wow, turning those feet. Lefts for Dead, very much alive. They are forcing their way to the front. Now that tri-wall reforms and has slowed Lefts for Dead down after she's gotten out of turn 2. Meanwhile, Lawrence is pushing, Lawrence is fighting. Lawrence isn't ready to give it up yet. Lawrence trying the outside, gets stopped, forced out. It's pulled back. Sweaty Malls making sure Lawrence enters behind her. In the front, we have Les for Dead, who is pushing very hard and finally able to find some daylight with the help of Benecula and able to get out as your lead jammer. So Minnesota dominating on the lead jammer line so far and with the shutout so far against the Sexpos. Minnesota on the outside. Left for Dead, very much alive. Another 4 points, getting around that track. 15-0 in favor of the land of 1,000 lakes. In the front of the pack, Lawrence has taken the star off, has not made the pass. Unable to make any headway. Left for Dead takes advantage and finds the inside of the track at the bottom apex, gets through for another 4 points. Here comes Minnesota again, engaged with the pack. As they engage with that, Lawrence is still trying to find a way out. No, nothing doing. Minnesota gets through, and just as Lawrence gets out, Minnesota calls it an incredible jam, picking up multiple scoring passes. It's 23-0 in favor of Minnesota. Sexpos unable to get any points on the board so far in this jam. We're going to have Felindra back out there going up against Hey Boo Boo out there for Minnesota. All right, both jammers engaged. Felindra coming all the way from the inside to the outside, then forced back inside again by Whoopsie Daisy. Keeps her skates in, and Felindra battling hard. Wowzee, wowza. These skaters are bodying each other up. The star has fallen off of Felindra. She's going to have to get that back up off of the track. She's handed to her by her teammate. Meanwhile, Sexpos Pivot thinks they were able to pull back the jammer, but refs do not agree with Artsy Choke. They were not able to do it. Here comes both of the jammers in the middle of turn 2. There goes Boo Boo around Artsy, and your lead jammer once again for the Minnesota All-Stars, purified in the waters of Lake Minnetonka, is Boo Boo. Felindra on the ground has the star in her hand, unable to make any headway through this pack. Artsy Choke pulling Boo Boo back. Boo Boo coming up and re-engaging with the pack. Meanwhile, Felindra stuck in the middle with you. Unable to get through for that initial pass. All the way to turn 3, but still not through for the initial pass for Felindra. As we reach toward the second half of this jam, 25 seconds left, in fact, we have not seen Les Sexpos able to get out for their initial pass, and we're not able to see Boo Boo get through for a secondary scoring pass. They're signaling for them to call it as Felindra gets out. So they call it. Minnesota comes over and wants to talk to the refs for a moment. 27-0 is not enough for Minnesota. They have something to say. We're under 22 minutes left in this half, and it has been all Minnesota. The Sexpos looking for an answer, looking for some lead jammer status. So far, unable to find it. Danger Muffin, the skating ref, signals a timeout, and we will pause the action for a moment. All right, we're ready to go. Here comes the action. What is it, Lexi Cutter there for Minnesota? They're wearing the dark uniforms. 5, 6, 7, 8, Grucey Grayson for the Sexpos in white gets called for a penalty. Grucey Grayson, your jammer for Les Sexpos, is in the box. Lexi Cutter cuts her way through and is your lead jammer. Weaving all around. Wow, all of the Montreal Sexpos blockers are taking turns going in and out of the box right now. Lexi bobbing and weaving, not having to get to past too many. Not too many now. Maydava JJ living her best life but unable to slow down Lexi Cutter. Here comes Lexi Cutter again. This has become a big jam so far. 8 points so far for Lexi Cutter. And there goes 4 more. Now, Gruesome Gracie's been taken out of the box and is battling, trying to get through for her initial pass. Lexi Cutter with the apex jump allows her to pick up 4 more. Double digits here, 16 points and counting for Lexi Cutter. We still have 40 seconds left in the jam. Lexi gets held up for a moment. Meanwhile, in the pack at the front, Gruesome Gracie finally is able to pick her way through the inside, get out, go through. Lexi fights for a few more points and then calls it off. So a 19-point jam all in all, I believe. 46-0 in favor of the Minnesota All-Stars. So far, it's been all Minnesota. The Sexpos got to figure out a way to get out of that pack early and get lead jammer, control it. Right now, Childish Gambino is going for Minnesota, and to try to change the tide, they're going to send the Nameless Hua up there. Nameless battling on the inside. Battling, Nameless able to do it. There you go. Montreal got that lead jammer. Nameless was celebrating a little bit with the jazz hands. Coming around, ready to engage. Childish is through the pack. So Childish, they got a block and a bag of pushing the back. Oh, you could hear the rage from Nameless. Unhappy with that call. Nameless Hua is back in the penalty box. Childish Gambino through with the scoring pass. Childish Gambino. So just what it looked like, the Sexpos are going to be able to take back control and start scoring. Instead, Minnesota taking advantage of the penalty on the jammer. We're going to go a full 2 minutes here. We got just over a minute left while Childish Gambino continues to pick up points. Nameless is on her skates and is getting ready to be released. Childish up in front of turn 3, gets her feet and is let go. Another 4 points for Childish Gambino. Nameless is out and Nameless is through, scoring points. Back at it, and we're finally on the board for the Montreal Sexpos. For a second there, Gambino thought about calling it and then remembered, I ain't the lead jammer, I can't call it. Oh, instead gets called for a penalty. We'll go to the box with 30 seconds left in this jam. So both skaters having spent some time in the penalty box for this jam. Nameless is being pulled back by Whoopsie Daisy. And Nameless is going to the outside, tiptoeing and getting through. There goes Nameless. Nameless around turn 3. Nameless around turn 4. Here comes the Nameless Hua. Here comes Nameless. And here comes Childish. No, just before the Childish gets released, the jam is called. So Childish Gambino will have to start that jam in the box. Montreal able to pick up 12 points finally on the board. Minnesota picking up points for themselves. Ultimately 60-12 in favor of Minnesota. The Sexpos will start with the lone jammer out there. I believe it's Lawrence. Immediately Childish Gambino is released. Lawrence is picking their way through. Gets a great block but is slowed down. Anyway, here comes Childish Gambino. They're in the back of the pack, trying their best to pick their way through. But they are getting stonewalled. Oh, Proto was an incredible stop, but essentially had to let Gambino go. Now Lawrence is trying to figure their way through, but isn't able to do it. Lawrence has the star off, looking to make a pass, but got no one to pass it to. Protocol's coming back. Protocol. Oh! Lawrence unable to successfully hand off the star. Gets knocked out of bounds. Gets pulled back. Meanwhile, Gambino pulled back themselves. Now they're trying to break through. And there you go. The Gambino score family. Pulls some 4 points. Calls off the jam. It's 64-12. Wow, Z. Wowza. Minnesota in complete control, huh? What do they say up there? Don't you know? Don't you know? I think they say something like that. They say, well, better be getting on, something like that. I don't know. You read on the internet about the Midwestern people and their polite phrases. Here we got Anaconda. Here we got Faulindra. Both are following in each other's footsteps. Faulindra! True and around. Your lead jammer for the Sexpos. Anaconda gets bodied up by Lisbeth and slowed down. Lisbeth lets Anaconda go. Anaconda's coming around the track. Faulindra from the outside scores 4. Scores 4. Turn 3 into turn 4. Faulindra's going. They're not calling off their jam, despite the fact that Anaconda is also scoring, because Faulindra thinks, let me score 4 more before Anaconda can score all 4 of her points. Ooh, forced right out at the last moment. A really good job by Killer Bay forcing out Faulindra. Faulindra cycling back, meeting up with Prim Reaper. That's a tough person to go up against. Minnesota gets their additional blocker from outside of the box. And with that, Mando and Killer Bay are going to form a wall and slow down Faulindra. Faulindra started hot, but has been contained. Meanwhile, Anaconda is going nowhere. Between Artichoke and the other blockers, Jamie's got a gun. They are shutting down Anaconda. Really incredible job by the Sexpos blockers. I believe Shark is part of that group as well. They pull. Primrose pulls back Faulindra. There's 30 seconds left in this jam. Faulindra's re-engaging and pushing. Not seeing what they want. They went to get some help from Lisbeth. Lisbeth is partially able to open things back up, but not fully. So Faulindra still stuck back there. Anaconda, in the meantime, has gotten cycled all the way to the back. As we finish that jam, they're going to hand out some points to both sides. It is 68 for Minnesota and 20 for Montreal. Minnesota firmly in control so far in this game. Lefts for Dead is going to be jamming up against 5, 6, 7, 8, the dancer, Gruesome Gracie. All right, here comes Left for Dead on the middle of the track. Gets engaged immediately. Meanwhile, Gracie trying the inside. Left for Dead is able to get around on the outside. Punches through the gravesite and is back out in the world, walking amongst the living. Left for Dead. The pass was made to Protocol. Protocol Commotion is around, putting the star on, and is going to force the hand of Lefts. Lefts calls it. Lefts was able to pick up 4 points, but it was forced on called it 72-20. So good job with the star pass, getting around that track. Protocol was able to force the conversation. We're coming up on a little bit over 12 minutes left. We're going to have Boo Boo versus Nameless in a height disparity bout. Nameless finding that outside quickly, tiptoeing, not stepping out of bounds. Nameless, who is your lead jammer? Nameless coming around turn 4. Look at his score. Meanwhile, there was a star pass to Whoopsie Daisy. Whoopsie's coming around turn 4. Nameless sees what's happening, tries to get hips around and call it. They're going to give Nameless 2 points. They're going to give nothing to Minnesota. It's 71-22. Small gains there by the Sexpos. At this point, they'll take any points they can get their hands on. They need points. Lawrence is going to be jamming up against Lexi Cutter. So, Lawrence and Lexi. Lawrence to the inside, then trying to cycle to the outside. Lexi right up the center. Lexi battling as hard as she can. Lexi through. Cut through the noise. Lexi Cutter. In the meantime, Lawrence with the star pass, the handoff quickly. And so Proto coming around again after the star pass. Minnesota's just going to immediately call it. They were in a never good position off the inside of the track. They weren't going to waste any more time as Proto came around with the star. 74-22, 10.5 minutes left in this half. Childish Gambino of the Gambino crime family back on the track. Gruesome Gracie, 5678, the dancer, back on the track. All right, they bunch up together, trying to find some kind of opening. It's very quickly closed. Gambino able to walk to the outside, but gets slowed down. Oh, 3 skaters up against Childish Gambino, and they're saying, nope, you gotta let Gambino go. And in fact, during that, Mayday for JJ is sent to the box. Childish Gambino quickly around turn 4, engages with the blockers. Gambino trying that inside, nothing there yet. In the meantime, Gruesome Gracie has been unable to get out of that pack. Star in hand, thinking about making the pass to Artsy Choke, pulls it back at the last moment, and now is once again engaged with the pack. Lists back for a little bit. Ooh, Gambino tried to jump, did not make it, is looking at the ref. Ref's not giving any kind of signal, so she goes, yeah, I get it. I didn't make it. I'm not cutting the track. I'm going back. Eventually, though, does get the cut the track call. Didn't go back farther enough. So gets that cut the track call and is in the box. So because of that, Gruesome Gracie out on their own. We'll go our full 2 minutes, which is 40 seconds left. And let's see if Gruesome Gracie can get out and get any points. Gracie still working from outside to inside and not finding what she's looking for. Not able to get out of this pack. Childish Gambino on their skates. And they are released. Gambino coming out. The star pass was made. Artsy Chokey, they are coming around. They're doing their best. They might have choked Artsy, but it won't choke me. Artsy Chokey coming around, turn 4. Oh, through the pack! Picking up 4 points. Oh, wow. Artsy Chokey doing a great job picking up those points. Now, while they were doing that, Childish Gambino said, don't sleep on me. I'm picking up my 4 points, too. So, Minnesota holding the lead. 82-26. Minnesota holding the lead. We're just under 8 minutes here to play. Falindra is going to go up against Anaconda. So, Falindra engaging the pack immediately. Anaconda trying to get up ahead of steam before she engages the pack. Both are being met with tough defense, but Falindra able to fight her way through. Falindra is your lead jammer. Coming around the outside, coming around turn 4, and engaging with the pack. Trying the outside, cycles back to the inside. They've made the star pass of Minnesota, and Falindra is right behind Poisonberry Pie, who now has the star for Minnesota. Falindra looking around, checking with the team, understanding what's the strategy we're looking for. Poison Perry scoring points. Falindra still going. Falindra waiting and calling it off. Was she a little bit late? Did Minnesota pick up a couple? Yeah, she was a little late on that call, allowing Minnesota to pick up some points. It's 88-33 in favor of Minnesota. A little bit of a late call there to call it off, allowing Minnesota to pick up a couple of points there. All right, Minnesota's out there begging their case with the refs. Again, asking the refs to pay attention to a few things. Rec support saying, sure, we're watching. They're going to take a team timeout for now. Minnesota has Les for dead out there, ready to start jamming, talking to her 3 jammers. One is the pivot. Meanwhile, she's got her 3 blockers, and one is the pivot. And meanwhile, she got her other blocker in the box. Sexpos got a blocker in the box, too. They're huddled up on the bench. Haven't sent anybody out yet. They're trying to figure out How do we start stemming the tide here? Montreal had called the team timeout, which is why they are talking on the bench. All right, the whistle beckoning the teams back to the track. It looks like Montreal has decided, let's send out Nameless Hua to go out there and jam up against Lefts for Dead. So in 5 seconds we begin action. And so we begin action. Nameless and Lefts both looking on the inside and then both looking to the outside. Nameless back to the inside, whereas Lefts stuck with the outside. Nameless now loops around to the outside, pushing Whoops-a-Daisy, pushing Mando, but isn't getting anything out of the way. Tries that inside track, but just can't make it work. Whoopsie, Mando, Primrose, able to cut her off. Meanwhile, Lefts for Dead is fighting 4 blockers at once. Lisbeth has to pull off, and so now it's a tri-wall that Lefts for Dead is pushing along, making slow progress. Nameless trying the inside, using their size and strength, but it gets called for a block in the back. Ooh, Maron does not like the call, is headed to the box. That allows Lefts for Dead to get out to be your lead jammer. And despite shedding a blocker with Mando also going to the box, the advantage is Minnesota, and Minnesota on the inside takes advantage. It is 92-33. Minnesota looking to add to the lead. Ooh, it opened up for a moment down the center, but closed quickly. Lefts instead having to use the inside to the outside, and now had to get bodied up by Choke and let go. Here comes Nameless out of the box. Nameless coming around, turn 3, watching Lefts engage in turn 4. Nameless is up against the tri-wall and is being pushed to the inside. Couldn't quite keep her balance. Was forced out, so will have to come back. And they're coming all the way back behind Mando. Meanwhile, Lefts for Dead still juggling their feet, shuffling their feet, trying to figure out how they're going to get out. It's really slowed down here as we're looking to see who can get out of the pack, and nobody can. At the end of the day, it was a 12-point jam for Minnesota as they pick up 4 more points. They've reached the 100-point mark, with Montreal stuck at the 33-point mark. All right, Boo Boo coming to the line. Lawrence coming to the line. What is Lawrence going to be able to find lead jammer status here? Whoa, Boo Boo on the outside. Just as we were all looking at Lawrence, Boo Boo on the outside, immediately getting lead jammer status, immediately getting around that track. Here comes Boo Boo engaging into the pack. Lawrence has the star off, but has not made a pass as the pivot is up at the front. Proto, not sure if she should leave her post to go get that pass, is staying put. They tried to make a pass, but they were pushed out of bounds, so they come back in bounds and make the pass. There's Proto. Proto is not your lead jammer, but Proto is around out of the pack. Here comes Proto. They signal for a call to jam. They call off the jam. They give 3 to Minnesota. Minnesota has a 70-point lead, 103-33. We'll start the next jam under 3 minutes. Lexi Cutter is going up against Gruesome Gracie as we begin this next jam in 5 seconds. The pack at the front line quickly going up against the starting line to jam up the jammers, but Lexi able to immediately get out, as well as Gruesome Gracie. It's a horse race. Dun, 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 dun. It's Stampede. Oh, playing a little jammer on jammer. Blocking there. Able to get Gruesome Gracie out and cutting the track. Great strategic play from Lexi Cutter. When jammers play defense, good things happen. She was able to get Gruesome out of bounds, and without realizing, Gruesome cutting the track. So Gruesome has to go sit down in the box, leaving Lexi all alone as your lead jammer. Really, really smart. To be able to come out of the pack with the other jammer on your heels and be able to figure out how to get them in the penalty box, get some points scored, and then call the jam so that they start in the box. That is smart, smart stuff. 107-33 in favor of Minnesota. Childish Gambino is going. And, of course, as we remember, Gruesome Gracie's in the box, so there'll be no jammer to start for the Montreal Sexpos. Here comes Childish Gambino. She had a head of steam on her. Then knocking her to the ground, but not able to get her out of bounds. She keeps her wits about her. She gets up. Lead jammer coming around. Gruesome Gracie's out of the box. Gruesome Gracie is on the track. At the front, around turn 1, they have to let Childish go. Childish is getting around. Childish is entering turn 3. Gruesome Gracie finally out of the pack for their initial pass. They are coming around turn 3 into turn 4. The pack is speeding up. Gruesome Gracie is trying to catch up. They're telling her to call it. I believe she was a little bit late. Are they going to give a point? No. Ooh, Sexpos are shocked. They thought for sure they got a point out of that one. From my vantage point, it looked like a little bit of a late call-off. I agree with the Sexpos on that one. But the refs say, we said what we said. And it's 113-33 in favor of Minnesota. It is 43 seconds left in this half. There has been a timeout called. They are going to award that point to the Sexpos because she was able to get around the hips before the Childish Gambino called it. So, order has been restored. 113-34 in favor of Minnesota. Official review underway. Thank you all so much for tuning in to the last bout of the day here. We have 2 incredible bouts early tomorrow morning. Great time to watch Twitch. Wake up, fry some eggs with Twitch on in the background. Thank you so much. In the meantime, we want to thank 187 Kilopads. We want to thank Bruise Boutique. We want to thank Good Skate Shop. And we want to thank Union Square Spinal Care. That one's a tongue twister. I always got to take my time saying that one. Thank you for sponsoring this tournament, helping Gotham put on its first tournament in years here in North Arlington, New Jersey. Thank you to Gotham for hosting this. Thank you to all the volunteers who worked so hard to put this on, so many of which are skaters, and they're giving them their time, their effort, their bodies to make sure that we're giving you great roller derby here. If you can support us by dropping some change in the donation bin on Twitch, we say thank you very much. This is Pallet Jack. I'm coming to you from North Arlington here. It's 113-34 in favor of Minnesota over Montreal. Anaconda and Folindra are getting ready to jam pending this official review. Both managers are out asking questions. Danger Muffin over there, the skating official, is giving them a rundown. All right. So they get their answers from the officials. The scoreboard remains the same. The time remains the same. So it is what it is. They're going to give the PA announcers an update. I'll give you an update when I have one. Folindra is going to go up against Anaconda. Montreal was looking for a forearm call. Didn't get it. All right, Sexpos. Folindra! It's fair game. Folindra in your lead jammer status. Coming around turn 4. Anaconda coming out of turn 1. So both are through. Both are ready to score. Folindra engaged with the pack. Anaconda yet to engage with the pack. She's changing that promptly. Here she comes. She's engaged. She's pushing toward the front. Ooh, tried to tiptoe in the line, but was stopped. In the meantime, Folindra in the back gets stopped up and is able to weave her way to the outside, but immediately gets shut down. Strong try roll from Whipsy and Mando and Prim, but Prim lets go to try to help break up for Anaconda. Anaconda is now at the very front of the pack and is let go. So there goes Anaconda. Valiant effort from Shark, but Anaconda scoring points despite not being the lead jammer. So Minnesota spoiling things for Montreal after Montreal picks up that lead jammer status. It's 117-38. So Minnesota really still in control as we reach the half. What a quick half we saw. Despite a couple of stoppages in play, it was very, very quick. Lots of jamming, lots of scoring on Minnesota's part. As we wrap up the first half, we'll leave you with these thoughts. Minnesota, come out and keep doing what you're doing. Get lead jammer status. Get multi-scoring passes. Montreal, it's very clear what you got to do is get out of that pack quicker, get that lead jammer status quicker. All right, we're going to go into intermission, and we'll be back in just under 15. Of our final bout of this Silence of the Jams game, Day 2 tournament hosted by Gotham Roller Derby. In our first half, we saw Minnesota dominating with some incredible multi-score passing jams. The Sexpos are going to try to disrupt that this second half. They're going to send Faulindra to the line to jam against Lexi Cutter. We start the action in 5 seconds. And we're off. Lexi is trying the inside. Faulindra trying the outside. Ooh, multiple blockers go to their knees. It favors Lexi. Lexi cuts through the noise and is around turn 4. She's ready to score. Faulindra, on the other hand, is making the star pass to Protocol. Clean star pass. Protocol is up and around. She's right in front of Lexi. Lexi looking at the bench, and the bench is saying, just call it. You got 4 points. Let's restart this. 121-38 to start this second half. Quick jam, quick 4, quick call. Childish Gambino of the Gambino crime family is up. They're going to be jamming up against the dancer, 5678, Gruesome Gracie. Gambino, whoa. Tipping toe through the tulips on the inside of that line. Immediately jammer. Wowza. Meanwhile, Gracie pushed to the outside, looping back around, unable to get out of the pack. The refs are talking to the blockers. Send one of the blockers of the Sexpos to the box. Gambino is out. Gambino is around. Gambino is scoring. Another blocker for Sexpos. Go to the box. This is definitely not how the Sexpos wanted to start this half. Gambino bowling through, bowling over. There is a call against Gruesome Gracie. The box is full. We got 2 skaters out there for the Sexpos while Gambino is racking up points. Mayday JJ tries to slow Gambino down. Unable to do so. Elizabeth out of the box, so we're going to be able to get at least a semblance of a pack. But Gambino coming around. Another jammer gets released. Shark, or blocker, this guy gets released. All right, so we got a full pack up there short of a jammer for the Sexpos. And they have been able to slow down Gambino. Gambino trying the outside, gets knocked out, and has to get to her feet. Gracie out of the box and immediately engaged with the pack. Gambino's on the outside. Gambino's sent to the floor by Vijay. Here comes Gracie out of the pack, forcing Gambino to call it. Childish Gambino having a good jam there. It's 136-38. Firmly in charge is the Minnesota All-Stars. So we're going to have Anaconda coming up to jam against Nameless Whore. All right, so with the whistle sets both jammers off, Both are trying that inside track, but it doesn't work. So Nameless tries the outside, and now straight up the center. Now back to the inside. Not working for either. Nameless to the outside. Ooh, gets forced out and has to get pulled to the back. Meanwhile, Anaconda has been slithering back and forth, but unable to find the light. Nameless whore out in front, past Prim Reaper, and your lead jammer is the Nameless whore. All right, Nameless coming up and engaging in the pack. Meanwhile, Anaconda with the star in her hand is getting stood up by Marin and the other blockers. They're pushing. Prim Reaper's there to help them out. Anaconda, though, still getting slowed down, not finding the daylight. Nameless, in the meantime, has been held back, getting some direction from the bench. Nameless trying a slightly different approach, and then once again re-engaging. Nameless is so tall, she can engage the shoulders of the blockers with her hips, giving her a unique advantage. All right, so Anaconda's coming around. They're asking Nameless to call it, but Nameless isn't picking up on that. Nameless not realizing that the bench was asking her to call it. So that allows Anaconda to go through and pick up points. Nameless standing there track at the turn 3 of the track. You can see the frustration on her face. It's 140 to 42. Coming back to the bench, Nameless saying, I didn't hear you. I didn't realize, right? Lefts for Dead is going to be jamming for Minnesota versus against Lawrence. So Lawrence trying that inside right away, but immediately gets hit. We got Lefts for Dead on the outside. Lefts for Dead, very much alive. Lead jammer. Lawrence is able to get out. Benicula is getting called for a penalty and is headed to the box. Proto's in the box and is about to get let out. Lefts for Dead coming through. Has a couple of blockers in front. Lefts engage the blockers. Lawrence is coming around quickly. Coming around very quickly. Forcing Lefts to call it. Oh, wow. Lawrence wasn't able to pick up any points, but really put the fear of God into Lefts, forcing the call. It's 143 to 42 in favor of the Minnesota All-Stars. Oh, they're going to call a penalty on Lawrence to end that jam. So Lawrence is in the box and is upset about the play. 143 to 42 with Boo Boo all alone out there. No Yogi to be found. Jamming by herself. There goes your picnic basket. Stolen by Boo Boo, the lead jammer. There's only 2 blockers out there for Sexpos, but they are successfully able to cut off that outside track of Boo Boo. Boo Boo reorienting, coming back on, and finding, thanks to some help from the blockers, an open lane. Boo Boo with 4 points. Boo Boo's going. All right, so we have nearly a full complement of skaters as there is still one more blocker left in the box for the Sexpos. And Lawrence, with the star in her hand, is pushing as hard as she can push against a very tough tri-wall. She loses her balance after getting pushed into her own skater, but is immediately back up. Ooh, she gets a jailbreak from Jamie's Got a Gun, but unable to take advantage of it fully. In the meantime, Lawrence finding the outside, buddies up against Benicula. He had a big hit on Lawrence. Whoopsie Daisy is able to gather Lawrence up as a result. Proto was there for the handoff, but Lawrence decides not to make the handoff, gets sent to the ground, and gets back up again. Meanwhile, Boo Boo has been completely stonewalled and has been unable to get through for another scoring pass. Shark and Jamie's Got a Gun have formed a really tough tri-wall to stop her. In on the action is Dr. Madness. Daisy pulls back Shark to make the blocking a little bit less easy. There goes Boo Boo scoring. There goes Lawrence coming around the track. They're going to try to speed things up so Boo Boo can't get any more points before calling it. But it doesn't matter. The jam ends. A couple of more points for Boo Boo. 1-5-3 versus 4-2. Minnesota continuing to add to the lead. Points very scarce for the Sexpos. Faulindra and Lexi Cutter are going to try jamming for this. All right, so they're off. Wow, Lexi really shuffling their feet, stomping their feet, dancing like a dancer out there. There goes Lexi. She cuts through the noise. Faulindra is trying her best and is looking for that outside track, but has been unable to find anything. Lexi, in the meantime, has come around the track and re-engaged for a scoring pass. Shark is trying to slow her down along with one of the other blockers, but is unable to do so. They have to let her go. I believe it was Skatey was the other blocker who was working with Shark on that. Lexi out. Faulindra out. Now they're playing some defense. Lexi and Faulindra, jammer on jammer defense. Remember, good things happen when jammers play defense. Lexi was about to attempt the jump, but Skatey was able to stop her from getting a good jump, and so when she landed out of bounds, she just called it. 161 for Minnesota. Stuck at 42 is the Montreal Sexpos. Childish Gambino is going to go up against Gruesome Gracie as we get in our next jam of this second half. Ooh. Childish Gambino, Gruesome Gracie, both are stuck at that pack. Each team is down a blocker. Shark, the blocker for Montreal, is coming back on. Whoopsie, the pivot for Minnesota, is also coming back on. Childish Gambino was able to work her magic and gets out, gets around, and gets ahead. Here comes Childish Gambino on the outside. The pack sees her. The pack tries to cut her off. She calls it quickly after the star pass to Proto. Proto was able to pick up a point as Gambino picked up two. So after the star pass to Gambino, or to Proto, Montreal is finally able to pick up a point and move from 42 to 43 points. Meanwhile, with 2 points for themselves, Minnesota is at 163. I'm not the best at math, but I believe that's 120 points. That's a big lead, even for Derby. We want to thank everybody listening on the Twitch. Donate if you can. Support our sponsors if you can as well. 888-187 Kill Pads, Bruce Boutique, Good Skate Shop, and Union Square Spinal Care. Thank you all so much on the Twitch. We're so excited to have you. We still got plenty of Derby to play, plenty of Derby to watch. So don't unplug the computer yet. All right. So we're going to have Anaconda jamming up against the Nameless Horror. All right. Nameless is trying the inside and then cycles to the outside. In the meantime, Anaconda stuck behind a tough tri-wall in the back. They're making some progress, and as a result, everybody's all jammed up in turn one. They give the lead jammer to Anaconda, but Nameless is right on Anaconda's heels. Snakes can have heels when they wear roller skates. Here comes Anaconda. Here comes Nameless. Now, because one of the blockers got knocked out of bounds, Nameless and Anaconda neck and neck. Anaconda passing that one blocker who had gotten knocked on their feet out of bounds. So picks up that 1 point and then quickly calls it 164 to 43. We're seeing every form of strategy on display in this game. Really incredible. Lefts for Dead is going to be jamming up against Faulindra. Faulindra trying the inside, doesn't quite find it, but sticks with it Oh, whoopsie, shuts that down. Meanwhile, Left's really battling. Both of these jammers turning frantically with their feet and with their arms, really trying to get out of there. Now what happens here? Left's is stopped, and Falindra is on the floor. Whoopsie pulling Falindra back. That's leaving Left's to the very front. Left's for dead. Is pushing. She didn't hear no bell. Ooh, they're able to force the jammer out. Jamie doing a great job there. Jamie's got a gun, doing a great job there. And that cycles that back. Unable to get out for lead jammer. Wow, what a battle so far. We have had no lead jammer. So we're battling, we're fighting from lefts. We're battling and we're fighting from Falindra. Neither is finding the space they need. The pack is about to get broken up because of distance. And sure enough, the refs are calling it. Your lead jammer, after quite a battle, is left for dead. Very much alive. Falindra on the inside gets forced out by Whoopsie Daisy. Able to cycle back in. Lefts has the star in her hand, but has no one to pass it to. One of the blockers for Montreal is taking a knee. Dr. Madness looked like they caught a little bit of a hit and needs a chance to recover. Whoopsie has gone to the box. The pivot for Minnesota. Star pass was made. All of this was happening to Proto. So once again, Proto has the star and is coming around. Dr. Madness has taken a seat in the middle of the track. They'll need some medical attention for a moment to see if they're okay. It's 170 for Minnesota. Montreal stuck at 43. We're going to take a look, make sure that Dr. Madness isn't suffering from madness. I'm going to make sure she's okay. Get them back on the track. With the stoppage of play, official timeout to check on the skater. Once again, thank you all. I'm Palachak. I've been so excited to work on these first 2 days of the tournament with you. Tomorrow we're going to have some more great games with arch rival in Gotham, in Minnesota, and Boston. I'm going to have to be at work, but believe me, I'm going to have the Twitch on. I hope you have the Twitch on, because I'm going to have the Twitch stream on while I'm at work so I can listen to these great bouts that we're going to have tomorrow morning. Thank you all so much for supporting us. Again, if there's any donations left you can make, dig deep in that pocket, and if you find anything but lint, see if you could trade it into Gotham, huh? We really appreciate the support that she's given us. We really appreciate all of the wonderful support from all the fans. We've had fans all across the country, all across the world, matter of fact, and we've been loving it. We want to give a big shout out to Pooh, who's been running this Twitch stream the whole time, making every adjustment needed. We're going to give a shout out to L Dubs, who's working the camera today, making sure you don't miss a second of the action. Really spectacular work from everybody involved. All right, officials are huddling up talking. We're still getting some attention to the skater. We're going to take a brief pause for just a moment. All right, thankfully, Dr. Madness on her skates, able to skate off under her own power. Always a good sign. All right, the officials talking. Montreal's managers over there talking with them too. All right, so Boo Boo coming to jam for Minnesota, and the dancer, Miss 5, 6, 7, 8, Gracie Grayson coming for Minnesota. Gracie on the outside, back to the inside. Back to the outside. Back to the inside. You can see this back and forth dance that the dancer Gracie is doing. Meanwhile, Boo Boo is being held up, not finding a way around. They got a penalty call against one of the blockers for Montreal. They're given lead status to Gracie. She did get pushed out of bounds, but there was an incorrect out of bounds push, so she remains your lead jammer. Boo Boo is still working, trying to get out and find their picnic basket, and there they go. So they're out of their initial. Gracie doing the scoring, immediately calls the jam off. Able to move on from 43 to 47, Montreal feeling good and wanting to capitalize by taking another jam. To do so, they're going to send out the Nameless Horror. And they're going to face against Lexi Cutter. The Nameless Horror versus Lexi Cutter. We're under 15 minutes here. The crowd has gone silent. All right. Both of them engaged. Things are developing slowly at first, and then a burst of action from Lexi Cutter. She cuts through the noise. She is your lead jammer. Nameless finds an opening themselves. There she goes. The Nameless Horror. And there goes Lexi Cutter. Lexi calls it off because Nameless was skating as fast as a person can skate, trying to catch back up. Don't want to let Nameless, pardon my voice cracked. I was so excited. They called that off because Nameless was coming around so fast. I was so excited. Cracked like I was 13 years old again, that voice cracked. Here comes Childish Gambino. They're going to be jamming for Minnesota. Here comes Fowlindra. She going to be jamming for Sexpos. All right. Fowlindra tries that inside, doesn't find it. Meanwhile, Childish Gambino immediately on the outside, making their way around. Childish Gambino, your lead jammer from the Gambino crime family. Here we go, pushing. They're reforming a pact. Whoopsie, or no, pardon me, it wasn't Whoopsie. No, it was Poisonberry was able to break that up. But very quickly, they have to just call it. 4 points for Minnesota, 178 to 47 still for Montreal. Anaconda's out there ready to jam, but first her manager wants to have a word with the ref. While that's happening, Gruesome Gracie gets out there to jam against Anaconda. Anaconda's trying the outside and Gracie is stuck on the inside. They're pushing. So far, nothing doing. Ooh, Anaconda gets pushed to the knees, has to get up and get back around. Gruesome Gracie is stuck between a three-wall I want to be no part of. There's Whoopsie, there's Prim. They are doing everything to shut her down and try to force her out of bounds. They're unable to do that, and Whoopsie pays the price by getting a penalty called against her. But they still have, despite their pivot being in the box, 3 blockers to reform a tri-wall, but they just lost another blocker. So at this point, with Killer Bay going to the box alongside Whoopsie, all you got left is you got Primrose and you got Lovin. Yeah, Lorraine. Oh, Amanda Lorian. I'm sorry. I don't know why I said Lauren. Amanda Lorian. Anyway, so coming up quick. Gracie gets around. Gracie engaged. Mando's there. Primrose is there. Here comes the star pass to Whoopsie. Whoopsie's around. Whoopsie's through. That's going to force Gracie to call it. Maron and me. That's that. So there was some progress made up to 51 points by Montreal. But with Minnesota at 178, Montreal is staring down the wrong side of that score imbalance. Nameless Hua is going to go up against Lexi Cutter. So, Lexi on the inside to the outside, really shoving those feet. Quick feet from Lexi. Cutting through. Lexi Cutter. Nameless, no slouch. She gets through too. She's coming around, just like last time, trying to cut around to get to call it. And yeah, Lexi tries to pick up 4 points, and before getting a cut the track call says, let me just call this right away. Only going to get 3, but worth it to not get that cut the track call. Smart call off. 181 to 51. 130 points. That's big even for Derby. Fowlindra is going to go up against Less for Dead. Fowlindra to the inside, scoops back to the outside. Left's for the inside. Left sees an opening. Left takes it. Very much alive. Left's for Dead. Fresh out of the grave. Left is coming around turn 1 to engage in scoring. Falindra, on the other hand, is not able to get out of the pack quite yet. Falindra pushing and battling, has the star in her hand, but no one to make a pass to. Doesn't need it. Tiptoes on the inside, gets through. So this is going to force Lefts to call it as soon as she can get cleanly out of the pack. She gets down, she gets up, she calls it, takes a quick knee again. Left's taking a moment. Her teammates coming to check on her. Left says, it's all right. I'm all right. Thank you. Bye, Fieri. But I'm all right. Bye, say, welcome to Flavortown. Come on back to the bench. 183 Minnesota, 51 Montreal. Lawrence is going to be going up to jam for Montreal. And that's going to be, my vision fails me. I'll tell you momentarily. Whoa, Lawrence right away on the inside. Woo, great jam work. Lead jammer from Lawrence. Now, on the other hand, Boo Boo, who's jamming from Minnesota, gets out of that pack pretty quickly. So Lawrence is going to try to get around and quickly call it. Yep, got around and quickly called it. So was able to pick up 2 points, keep the other team scoreless, 183 to 53. These teams are really jockeying for those points. And though Minnesota has a commanding lead, Montreal is not going away. They came a long way to play Derby in North Arlington, and that's exactly what they plan on doing. Lexi Cutter's going up against Gruesome Gracie. Gracie listing from the inside to the outside. And there goes Lexi Cutter. She has dominated when she's on the line today. The star pass was about to be made, but they were calling Proto for a penalty. So Proto says, here, take this star back. I got to go sit in the box. Lexi threw for scoring. Gruesome has the star in her hand, has no one to pass it to, remember, because the pivot's in the box. So pushes their way past Whoopsie. Comes around turn 4. Lexi turns around turn 2, scores points, and then calls it off. Picking up 2 scoring passes on that one, and then calling it successful jam on behalf of Minnesota. 191 to 53. Childish Gambino and Nameless Whore is going to jam on this one. Childish is all the way back in turn 4. She wants to get like a running head start, so to speak. Sure enough, both jammers get a little bit of steam, ahead of steam there, but neither is able to find an opening, both ending up on the ground. Nameless, unable to pick up on the fact that she had to go back, so she gets to cut the track. Childish, though, realized she would have to go back, went back, so avoided to cut the track, and is successfully able to get your lead jammer status. Childish Gambino really heads up skating. Going around the outside, they try to close, unable to close on time. There goes Gambino. Scoring, scoring, scoring. That's what Minnesota's doing. Right back to the outside. Bangs up against Shark. Finds it inside. Choke can't do anything. Lizbeth can't do anything. There goes another scoring pass for Minnesota. Proto's out of the box. Nameless is on the ground. Benicola's on the ground. The jam is called off. Nameless is taking a minute. Nameless is not feeling good. Feels like they need to talk to somebody, see somebody about something. All right, Nameless is up. Nameless is skating off, saying, I don't need to go over to the EMTs. I'm just going to go to the bench with the willpower to overcome the injury. We thank so much to our EMTs who are working this bout. Anaconda's coming to the line. She's going to be jamming for Minnesota. Who's Sexpos is going to be sending out. They can't send out anybody because there was a penalty assessed, but they're going to send Falindra to the box in place of Nameless. So, Anaconda all there by herself, slithers through the forest, and is able to get out the other side as your lead jammer. Here comes Anaconda. She don't want none unless she's lead jammer, son. And there she goes. Ooh, Proto's able to get Anaconda to the floor and pulling her back. Anaconda speeding ahead of Proto, saying, look, I'll get ahead of you and get back on before you even set your feet. Here comes Falindra. Falindra's going to come with the star in her hand. but Proto's all the way at the front trying to block Anaconda. Proto's going to start coming back as the pivot. Is the pass going to happen or not? No, I don't think so. Falindra pushed outside, but immediately back in by Whoopsie. Prim. Oh, they're able to stop Falindra, knock her down. Great job from Amanda Larian. Mando pulling Falindra all the way back. Meantime, Anaconda battling shoulder to shoulder, making sure they can get through. And they're through for a scoring pass. Falindra holding out the star, but Proto doesn't get there in time to grab it. And so Falindra's still stuck. Now, able to correctly pass it to Protocol Commotion. Here comes Protocol Commotion after the star pass. They're coming around. Woodsy called for a penalty, saying, yeah, that was right. That was a penalty. They call off the jam after that because Proto comes through fast and furious and is able to sneak 2 points in before the jam is called. It is 210 for Minnesota. It is 55 for Montreal. We are under 5 minutes left to play in this bout. They're going to send Gruesome Gracie and Lexi Cutter, a matchup we've seen multiple times tonight, to the line. Here comes Gruesome on the inside and is stopped. Lexi to the outside and is also stopped. Both are trying to fight with the shoulders, and Lexi is successfully able to do it. Lexi out, Lexi about. Well, so is Gracie. So both are out and ready to score. They're going to try to speed the pack up just a little bit. Lexi gets 1 point and says that's enough. I'm not gonna worry about anything more. They're not going to give it a point. They're going to say that Artichoke was able to keep their hips in front and not get past. No, so they don't give the point because Artichoke, they was able to keep their hips in front as Lexi was calling it. 210 to 55. All right, so we got Les for Dead immediately able to get out of that track, or that pack, and around that track. Lexi around turn 3, around turn 4. The star pass was made to Proto. Proto's doing a lot of star pass receiving here in this bout. Proto's coming around, trying to get the forced call from Lefts. Lefts doesn't hear it in time, but it works out in their favor. It's 1 point for Sexpos, but 4 points for Minnesota. And Minnesota will take that 3-point advantage. It's 2:14. It's 56. We're under 3 minutes here left in this bout. This bout has been flying by because we haven't had a whole lot of stoppage of play, and most of these jams have gone a healthy amount of time. Very fast-paced bout by two fast teams. Boo Boo and Falindra are going up against each other on the jam line. Both are trying either ends of the track, inside and outside. Boo Boo trying to tiptoe on the inside, whereas Falindra is forcing away from the outside back to the center. They get a penalty call on Sweaty Malls, sent to the box. There goes your lead jammer, Falindra. The star pass was made to Benicula. Benicula is putting the star on, and he is coming around turn 4. There goes Falindra. Falindra trying to call it before Benicula can pick up any points. Yes, is successfully able to do that. So, 4 points for Minnesota. No points for Montreal. No points for Minnesota. 214 to 60. When both teams have an M name, it's hard to say the right one sometimes. We're going to get the classic matchup of Gruesome Gracie versus Lexi Cutter. Lexi has had the better of this matchup for most of the bout, but Gruesome has had some good jams herself. And just like that, cutting through the noise is Lexi Cutter. Lexi around turn 3, Lexi around turn 4. Lexi engaging with the pack and pushing it real good. Must be a salt and pepper fan. Gruesome Gracie comes out of turn 3 after getting out of the pack. Gruesome's going. Gruesome is coming through. Lexi had got called for a penalty, so Lexi is in the box, which means we'll go for the full 2 minutes of this particular jam with Lexi able to pick up some points. Doesn't matter what the final score is for Montreal right now. What's more important to them is to get more points because points are important in this league. Even though the final winners and losers might have already been decided points-wise, they still want to rack up points for the standings. Lexi's out. Lexi's going to try to rack up some points themselves. Here's 214 to 65 in favor of Minnesota. So Lexi is jamming. They get engaged. Here comes Gruesome. We're going to the end of this 2-minute jam. There is no more time left on the game clock. So this is it. This is all she wrote. Here comes Gruesome picking up some points. Here comes Lexi trying to pick up some points. Again, points count and also penalties count. So that's why you got to keep playing it out. And no one can stop the clock because the lead jammer had went to the box anyway. Gruesome Gracie tripped up on the inside. Goes right back around and engages. They have to let Lexi go. So another 4 points for Lexi. Here comes Gruesome Gracie trying to get some more. We're in the final 5 seconds of this jam and of this bout and of the second day of the tournament. Some more points for Lexi Cutter. And as we call an end to this bout, we're seeing 222 points for Minnesota and 69 for Montreal. So, sliding home safely is the Montreal Sexpos. And purifying themselves in the waters of Lake Minnetonka is the Minnesota All-Stars. We're going to be back with you in just a second to give you... Oh, they're going to bump up the score to Montreal to 72. Remember, points are important in this league. So that's good to know. We're going to be right back with the MVP, so don't go anywhere. And then we'll give you a send-off. Hold on. Our most valuable jammer for Sexpos was Folindra, and our most valuable blocker was Protocol Commotion. Our most valuable blocker for Minnesota was by Fieri, and our most valuable jammer was Lexi Cutter. So there you go. You have your MVPs. Thank you all so much for your participation in today's Twitch. On a personal note, I've been honored to be able to call the Twitch games yesterday and today, and I've been honored by the wonderful support I've been relayed back to me from the chat. Thank you all so much. I love this sport so much, and I love calling it, and I love this privilege I've been given to be part of this tournament, and I hope to be part of tournaments here in Gotham and anywhere else I can get a chance to be in the future. But the importance is not me. The importance is these wonderful skaters. They have come from all across this country. In fact, even outside of this country, in Montreal's case, and they have put on an incredible, phenomenal. They are jamming. They are blocking. They are fighting tooth and nail for every inch on that track, and they're doing it all for your entertainment. Support them with your donations. Support them with your praise. Support them with your love. Thank you all so much. The Twitch will be back on bright and early, 8 a.m. tomorrow. Pool will be manning it and making sure you can see what's happening, and you can wake up with some derby. Thank you all so much and have a great, pleasant night.